Hello everyone, I'm Andrew Trappen. Today we are talking about Geeks Home. Geeks Home is basically a utility which allows to do very similar to Geeks system things, but for user. You can declare all necessary packages and configurations in one Geeks environment record, and after that call Geeks Home and get these packages and configurations installed in your home directory. Very the same as Geeks system works for system, Geeks Home works for user home. It allows to manage user packages, to manage dot files, and to manage user-wide configurations, which can be used across the programs. For example, layout or mail accounts can be used in different software, but still have to be available somehow to those programs. And the last but not least is managing of user services. Sometimes we want to do some action on startup, or we want to do an action from time to time, or we want to have a daemon to be run for a long time, and it can be done with user services using user space shepherd. Okay, now we know for what, and let's get into implementation details and understand how it works internally. First of all, we have a home environment record, and let me open example home environment configuration. Example home environment configuration will be looking like that. It's very simplistic and minimal example, but still viable for our needs of understanding how everything works. We just declare a record, an instance of the record, and we declare a field packages, which is a list of packages. For example, bash. We can also add something more interesting. For example, GNU packages, Emacs, and let's add Emacs here. Should be enough for our needs. And after that, we need this file have the last expression to be a home environment. And here we just return a variable that we used to save the value of home environment record. Okay, having this file, now we can call a command which is geeks home build and pass to the file. Here I also add a load pass. It's necessary to make home command available because it's not in Geeks right now. It's just implemented in my own repository, and later I will try to propose those changes to upstream, and maybe someday it will be available in Geeks without any tricks with load pass. And I started this command, and now you can see that it says that the following derivations will be built, and at the end you can see the path which we will navigate right now. And here you see two things: profile and environment vars sh script. Profile basically contains all the packages that we declared earlier in our home environment profile field. And let's take a look at bin directory. And here you can see that it installed Emacs 27 and bash, and that's all. Some other Emacs related binaries, but overall you can see that it's only two packages installed in this profile. the same for other directories. It will contain everything that will be installed with your bash and Emacs. And also another script which we can cut, and it is environment vars sh script. For now, it do nothing. It just sets a random test variable, but later it will be used, for example, in shell configuration to source some user-wide variables that can be used in other programs. Okay, let's go back to implementation of home environment. The declaration of record looks very simple. For now, it contains a field packages, it contains essential services, and it contains services. Packages, just a list of packages, and essential services is something that will be populated automatically, and services is something that user can define to extend capabilities of home environment. It works the same way as operating system record works, and as you see, the most important, as you will see a little later, the most important thing here is actually services, not packages. Because what happens with packages here when you define them and how they get to profile. Actually, we have a profile service which will get the value from packages field of this record, and only after that, after profile service declared, those packages will go to home environment. And let's take a look at implementation of home environment default essential services. What happens here? Right here, you can see that we declare home service type, which is a root of our service type service tree, and I will explain it a little later. And there are another service called environment vars, which declares a random variable. For now, it's test vari, but later it will be some variables which will be proposed by other services. And home profile service, which just take the value of packages field of home environment. And it is the moment where packages from this declaration goes to the service tree, and after we will see how those packages will go to the resulting profile, and it will be done by service extension mechanism. It is absolutely the same mechanism which used in operating system for system services. What happens here? Let's take a look at root of service tree. Actually, services is just a directed acyclic graph, and the root of this graph will be a home service. And this home service declares two functions, compose and extend. What do an extend field? Extend field contains a function which takes all the entries defined for this service and creates a derivation which will be evaluated later, and from this derivation we will get our home environment folder with profile and all other files. Basically, this service accepts a pair of name and derivation. And we can take a look at another service, which is home profile service. And what it basically do, it takes the list of all packages that someone somehow gave to this service, and creates a package manifest from it. It filters and removes duplicates, creates a manifest from those packages, and after that it returns a pair of profile. It is a name of folder that will be used by home service, and the actual profile which will contain the result of this function. That means we create a profile with all the declared packages and return it to home service, which later will be used by the code of Geeks home command to get the real result that we will use in our home. Okay, and to explain this line, basically we say that our home profile service extends home service, providing a profile to the home service. That's it. We just get all the packages, create a profile for them, and say to home service, here is a profile for you. Can you do something with it? And later, we can take a look at another file, which will be scripts. Oops. Derivation. Here is a file which declare the interface, Geeks home CLI interface, which parse some command line options and so on. And actually it do some work on generating the result. For now, only build command implemented, but later reconfigure commands will be available. Extension graph, shepherd graph, the same as in the system, Geeks system subcommand, list generations, describe, delete generations, rollback, switch generation, and probably search for finding all home services. Maybe something else will appear later, but it is the nearest plan. For now, only build action is implemented, and we can take a little closer look to the code, which performs the actual build of our home environment. What happens here? We call home environment derivation function, which returns a derivation that we later just built, and return the path to the derivation, which we can use later to navigate to this directory, for example. And when we will implement a reconfigure action, it will use probably this path to create some links to your home folder. I still think about mechanisms that we will be using for moving the results of the build to your home directory, but it still somehow will do some symlink work for sure. Okay, and going back to home environment derivation function, what happens here? Let's take a look at home environment derivation function. It takes home environment record, it gets all the services, and those services will be obtained by a home environment services function, which is declared right here, and it appends essential services that we saw earlier right here. For now it's just 3 services, but later this list will be a little bigger, and it concatenates this list with another list of user-defined services. Right here we not defined any services, but we can do it with services field, and somewhere here we declare a list of services. but for now we won't be doing it. For some reason it not enabled scheme mode. For now, we won't be doing it. We just looking how it implemented internally, and we concatenated two lists, and we get the list of all services that should be available in the system. But our services can extend the services, which is not yet declared by anyone, and instantiate missing services function will add those services to the list, and the resulting list will contain all necessary services. And right here in services variable, we will get this list. And after that, we called full services function, which accepts this list and uses home service as a target type. And by the end of the day, we will get, as a result of this full services call, only one service, but this service will be extended by all the services in the graph. That means by the end of the day, we have only one service on the top of the graph, and all other services extend this service or extend services which extend this root service, or we can go very far, but the idea that every service somehow affect the extension of the root service. If it doesn't affect the extension of root service in any way, that means nothing happens related to this service. And after that, we just return a value of the home service, which will be a list of which will be a derivation which contains profile, some scripts, and maybe some configurations, and it will be built by Geeks home build command and produce the directory similar to one we currently in. That's it. In the same way, operating system record and Geeks system subcommand works. A little more details and a little more cases, but the idea is very similar. We already covered a lot of this information in previous stream, which called probably services and Shepherd or something like that. You can check it out, and it may be useful for you. Okay, we talked about how this services stuff works, and it's already a very flexible mechanism to declare your home environment. But in addition to packages and services, we maybe will add some other fields like layout, xdg dirs, or something else that will be useful to have, and all other stuff will be implemented using services. Also, let's talk first about another similar software, which is a Geeks Home Manager. It is a utility implemented by Julien Lepiller, probably. I hope I pronounce his name correctly. It's available on this GitLab instance, and it's cool. It's do a relatively similar thing, but it's a little smarter. From one point of view, it's better, but from another, it will add some complexity that can be not desired by user. And first of all, what it's a little extreme approach, but this Geeks Home Manager implemented by Julian is says that your home should be read-only. Your mutable data should be placed in a separate directory called /data, for example, /data /username or something like that. And after that, using the declaration of your home, you get your packages and maybe some configurations for those packages in your read-only home. Sometimes it's a cool idea and it makes your operating system more pure functional and so on, but it can break some programs, for example Pulse Audio. It can break another programs, for example GNOME, which will create some files on its own, and many other programs which somehow modify the configuration files or some data files in your home, and if it is read-only, they can stop work or work incorrectly. That is why this extreme approach is nice and interesting, but can break some things. It's also this implementation of Home Manager is also add the notion of extension point, which is similar to Geeks system services, but a little more complex, and it's not easy for newcomers especially, and even for experienced user to get their head around Geeks system services and to understand how this extension mechanism work, and it's actually few pages about service compositions and how to extend services with examples and a lot of details right here in manual. And extension point is another mechanism which is similar but still different, and you still need to learn how to use it. It's maybe a superior mechanism, but it's another mechanism to learn. And also current Geeks Home Manager contains a very small amount of programs available, and it lacks a few important services, and it also lacks mechanisms to do some important things, for example sourcing user-wide environment variables, or to start a user shepherd, and so on. It has some arguable but another cool design decisions, but those three is very important because it will make it very complex to get such home manager to be a part of Geeks itself. That is why I decided to go with a simpler approach and to make a tool which very similar to Geeks system, to be able to propose this thing to Geeks upstream easily, or at least easier, and to make it a part of Geeks, I hope somewhere in the future. Okay, talking about features that are currently not implemented but probably will be implemented most likely. It's on login script, which will do some setup work, for example starting shepherd user shepherd user space shepherd service. Actually it's a shepherd service itself, which can be extended by other services. For example, you want to have a GPG agent started automatically by your when you log in, and Shepherd can do it. Actually, it's not necessary to start a GPG agent because it will be started automatically if you use GPG or something, but it's one of the example of daemons that can be run in user space. And other daemons also may be desirable to be present in user space. Also, activation script I'm not sure yet how to implement linking from home environment build result to your home folder. Probably it will be done by activation script or maybe with some other mechanism, but let's call it activation script for now, and later we will decide how to implement it better. Obviously, it will be necessary to implement services, home services for many user programs, and some of them you can see here. It's probably most important in terms that they will show the examples that how to do it, and later people from community will be able to contribute back declaration for other programs that they use, and also I hope to do mailing list development approach the same way as Geeks do, to make a table for people to send patches without registering to on any Git hosting service, just using the emails. Okay, and later maybe we will do an integration with operating system. For example, we will create another service which will accept a home environment declaration, and we'll instantiate all necessary stuff for specific user, and we'll make all the system, all the programs and all the configuration available for him using this home environment declaration. That's mean your whole operating system, even user configuration, can be instantiated using Guix system init or reconfigure command, which sometimes desired. But in most cases, I see that people will be using Guix home separately from Guix system to not reconfigure system on each update of your home configuration. But still a nice feature to have, and this feature can later substitute a skeletons feature, skeletons service that is available right now for this purpose. And future steps, write a contribution guide to make people easier to introduce changes and to propose services for new programs that they use. Write documentation, I hope in tech info format, to be able to get information about Geeks Home using Emacs or another info viewer, or using a web interface or HTML version of this documentation. After that, it will be cool to propose these changes to Geeks itself with documentation, obviously, and it will be cool if it will become a part of Geeks. That will make it easier to manage not only system declaratively, but also your home environment declaratively. Another question that we can be raised, that we already have manifests and can use Geeks package install command with mflag. I mean Geeks package command with mflag and specify manifest, and it will install packages declaratively. It will, but it won't install any configurations for those packages. It won't declare user space shepherd services and so on. That's mean it's declarative, but it lacks of a lot of interesting features and useful features. And last item in the list, but probably it will be done earlier, move RDE configurations to home environment. I have some configs that I use for now, and I think that they will migrate very naturally to home environment record and to some services which will be used inside this record. Okay, that's it for now. I'm glad you joined and hope you enjoyed. See you later.